Kid Love Christmas.
Good morning. It is Monday morning. It is 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. How's it all going?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
I can hear ya.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. How was your weekend?
Um,
That good, huh?
I slept almost all day Sunday in between appointments.
Wow. Wait, come down with something or what?
No, it's so last week was Neurodiversity Week, which is a celebration of differences and understanding because someone may be neurodiverse doesn't mean they're broken, doesn't mean they need to be cured. Their brains are wired differently. And so the whole theme of my theme this year was all about accepting them for who they are and not for them to be normal. And so I spoke on 4 different platforms, 20 different events throughout the week.
You're kidding. Wow.
And here's a fun fact.
Yeah.
The best kept secret in our military is 30% of our military are neurodivergent.
No shit. Ah.
Well, here's the funny part. When I talk to civilians and talk about this, to understand how we are not a threat. you know then the instant words that come out of most people's mouths are, is that safe? I'm like, what'd you think of our military 30 seconds ago before I told you this? You thought they were safe,
Yeah.
right? Well, what changed?
The word,
That's
their
it.
perception.
And that's it. And here's the cool part is a lot of individuals who are especially ADHD or ADD that are
Hmm.
on meds, because the rule is to get in the military you can't be on meds, and if you were on meds you have to be off of them 6 months to a year depending on the med.
Yeah.
Most of them actually will come out and tell you that they do better without meds in the military than they do with meds.
Yeah. Pharmaceutical companies don't do cures. They create clients.
Correct. They create the easy button,
Right.
and it's usually for parents and teachers to be able to have, and I still haven't figured this out yet. So in society, theoretically speaking, especially in the US, you want a Stepford kid. So you want this kid who listens to commands,
Yep.
does what they're supposed to do, does what they're told to do, no questions asked, right? Which is the big push for autistic kids and ADHD kids to be normal
Quote unquote, yeah, normal.
society,
Hmm.
because they're afraid that their kids embarrass them in public. Well, all kids do. But the thing is the kids who don't obey commands, they're not puppies, one. But the kids who aren't trained puppies that actually don't obey and think for themselves, which I can tell you right now from experience is the giant pain in the ass when it comes to kids,
Hmm.
because you got to be very careful what you say, how
Oh
you
yeah.
say it,
Yep.
because they will figure out a loophole. But those are the kids that are going to move out of your house and not come back. They're going to go to college, they're going to get a job, they're going to find a house and move on their own and come back to visit during the holidays or weekends or whatever. But they won't unless, shit hits the fan and life sucks for a little bit. They may move back in for short term, but they won't live there and never go away. They're also the smart kids that con all the dumb kids into doing dumb shit.
Hmm.
So why do you want a Stepford kid that obeys commands? Because you're stuck with them forever in your house. And they're the ones that are always doing dumb shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy.
I always find it entertaining when people talk about, well, they don't listen. Well, I go, do they listen and just choose not to do what you say? Or, what's the issue? Is it your delivery? It's not just the kids' fault they don't listen. No, 'cause, like I had a friend of mine whose child was nonverbal. He's 20 years old, treats him like a 4-year old. And he kept asking him, can you do this? And the kid just kept signing yes. And I'm watching it on video and I'm like, you do realize your kid's answering you. You didn't ask him to do something. You asked him if he could do it. He's
Yeah.
being sarcastic. He's like, yeah, I can do it. So my kid does it all the time. And no matter how you reword it, the minute you say, can you, means, are you able to do it? It's the
Yeah.
English language, you know? It's, will you do this? Or can get up, pick up your toys, please. A command with a politeness in it. Or, not can you do this, or are you willing to do this, or are you able to do it? They're going to say yes. Yes, we can do it at 100%. We're not doing it.
Right. And that's what really gets parents on the edge. They say, "Do as I say, not as I do."
Uh-huh. Good example. Last weekend, my husband decided to tell my son to go pick up his toys and told him that, all right, if you want, he started, this is great. I stood there laughing the whole time. I go, it's not going to work. If you want to watch TV, you need to pick up your toys. He turns around and looks at dad and goes, fine, it's only a TV, turns the TV off and goes outside.
Yep.
Let's just say the toys didn't get picked up. But dad put a contingency on it. It wasn't pick up your toys. It was, if you want to watch TV. And this is the part that's so great about normal or special kids. Because an average child, they hear that you can't watch TV. They instantly go to that deprivation that I can't do something, so I'm going to have a temper tantrum.
Hmm.
Special kids look at it and go, okay, I'm gonna go do something else. Because by the time I come back to watch TV 4 or 5 hours later, you're gonna forget you told me to pick up them toys.
Yeah. They know the ins and outs.
you
They'll
know,
get you.
and they're
And,
not
and
wrong.
right. And every kid is special. I mean, so my I grew up in a military family, and my dad, he said, "Do as I say, not as I do, or else you're gonna get your butt beat."
Yep. Or it's an adult thing only. It's a
I never
grown
heard
up
that
thing.
one. Never heard that one.
That's the one I use. Is that because mom still has the sailor mouth or the army mouth, the military mouth, and so these are grown up words.
Yeah, don't use them.
Yeah. So now he tells me he's now a big boy and he's a grown up.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen to this, mom.
Well, he's gotten smart because he doesn't say it unless he's really, really mad, he'll say it in English. A lot of times he'll cuss in other languages.
Mm. Thai, French, Spanish.
Mandarin,
Yep.
Hindi, Russian, sometimes Czech. He finds the obscure languages
Oh, of course he does.
that he knows that there's no way in God's green earth that mom knows them because he started with German and mom knows German. And incidentally, all of German swear words are American not swear words.
Mm.
So technically, when you say alternatives, You're still swearing.
He's probably thankful that you weren't a linguist in the
Yo, he's
army.
very thankful because mom can't retain any other language.
Neither can I. I tried to learn French, and the only thing I got was bonjour.
And we, bonjour and we are the only
Yeah,
things I can say.
yeah.
And this and Frere Jacques, that whole song.
I forgot about that, but I like. I was watching The Longest Day, the movie The Longest
Mm.
Day, and it taught the French uh, resistance. You know, they had different groups and they had different messages for the different groups as to when Normandy was going to take place, and the one was Jean has a long moustache. I tell my wife that all the time. I have a long moustache.
And she looks at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, of course, she's been with me over 50 years, and she puts up with me. She hasn't tried to change me, but she does put up with me.
We
I
tolerate y'all.
yeah, I have no idea why.
Because otherwise we would not have an entertaining life.
Yeah, that's true.
So I
And I
tell my
like to
husband every
entertain.
day, he tolerates me just so I can keep entertaining him.
Yep. I love to. I have always loved to make my wife laugh,
Yeah, that's good.
even though she doesn't like it.
So Amazon Prime has a new series that we're gonna watch starting next weekend. We've been kind of waiting till there was nothing else on TV to watch.
Uh-huh.
It is David, and it's a story of David with Goliath and all that.
Oh yeah, that's been one. I just saw the um, first couple of um, shows a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
is it good? Goes the previews?
it's not bad. It's biblical.
Well, kind of, sort of. Yeah, you think?
Well, it's got a lot of what do you want to call it? Creative allowance allowances.
Oh, okay.
So, but it holds fairly true. And I ain't so sure about the fight between David and Goliath, but we'll see.
Well, the problem is there's not a whole lot written on it, other than it happened, and a general idea of how he happened. And
Yeah,
we know David won. So, a lot of things are left up to creative engineering because we have active imaginations.
well, I'm glad somebody does.
It's a necessity in our house. You got to remember, we live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you gotta be creative, and you have to have imagination. I know. Whenever I lived in up toward Pittsburgh at the Nike site, man, we were out in the middle of nowhere. Farms. There were a few farms around, but mostly woods. And the one thing that I tell my son, I said the one thing you'll never ever understand is the very first hearing, the very first sonic boom.
Oh yeah.
I, I was standing in the field and I heard this boom, and I looked up and their jet was clear out of sight, and I go, wow, that was interesting. Getting to be my age, you had a lot of firsts. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, were you around when, indoor plumbing became available?
When who what?
When
Was I around whenever?
indoor plumbing was the first?
No, I was already. We already had that.
Because
I was because what?
because there's some areas down south where, people back in the 70s and 60s still didn't have indoor plumbing.
Oh yeah, yep. They didn't know how to fill up gas cans either, or lawnmowers. I had a. We were staying at some friends of my dad's down in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the guy was mowing the grass, and he had a truck with gasoline on it, loaded, and so he left the lawnmower running, and he wanted to fill the lawnmower. Well, the lawnmower caught fire, and it was just a crazy, crazy day after that because he didn't want to throw dirt on it, but he didn't want to pull the nozzle out either. I said, "Oh God, don't fill anything up while the engine's running." Good Lord! But we got it under control. And I'll tell you what, that was the first time I ever had fried okra.
Oh yeah, how was that for you?
Oh, that it was good. I was really surprised because we were all sitting around the dinner table, and Mr. King, the older Mr. King, he was like in his 70s. I was sitting beside him. Dad was sitting across from me, but Mr. King was right in the middle of us. And they passed this fried okra around, and I didn't take any. And he said, "Boy, you ought to take some." And I said, "I don't like it." He goes, "Have you ever had it?" I said, "No." He said, "Then how do you know you don't like it?" I said, "All right, I'll take a couple pieces." So I took 3 pieces and passed it around. And he sat there and watched me eat them. And he goes, "How was that?" I said, "Well, that's not too bad." He goes, "See, your prejudgment kept you from enjoying something." I said, okay. But they did fried okra in egg batter and crackers, and then in baking grease. Boy, was that good!
Mm-hmm. Well,
I know we're
anything
not
in
supposed
baking
to
grease
eat.
is good.
Yeah, it's a whole different food group by itself. Uh, I love the smell of bacon. Whenever I get poached eggs, I always get bacon crisp and bit it up and put it in the poached poached egg and with toast. Then I get a bowl of grits. Love that.
Not the biggest fan of grits, but I'll eat them if I have to.
I was down in Florida whenever I was in the military, and a friend of mine, one of the guys in the barracks, him and I went on a day trip up, and we rode up uh, Highway 1, and we stopped at this restaurant, and we were ordering breakfast, and the waitress said, "Would you like grits with that?" I go, "Yeah," and he said, "Well, whatever he's having, I'll have." So whenever she brought it out, I looked at the grits and go, "Man, nah, man, they look good." He looks at them, and he looks at me, and then he looks at her and says, "What are these?" She said, "Those are grits." He said, "Why are they still moving?" I said, "They're not moving. They're supposed to be a little sloppy, but you put butter and salt and pepper on them, and man, dip your eggs in there. Oh, you eat like a king." He goes, no, I don't think so." I said, "Try it. You'll like it." But that was funny. He looked at me and looked at her and said, "Why are they still moving, man?" I do love grits. Mm. I used to make a pot of those whenever I was younger. My dad, he was from the south, and my mom was from Chambersburg, where we live. And my dad would always make grits in Sunday mornings. I loved it. But that's just uh, fun memories. So,
So, did you
same
hear
as
about the newest news about Egypt?
nah. What, that the pyramids or the tips of the obelisk?
No,
Oh,
they've actually used radars. Now, Egypt itself, that one guy that controls all of the history of Egypt, um,
oh
is
yeah,
claiming it to
a
be
lot.
false news. But they found pillars and things underneath the pyramids, and it looks like underneath
Yes.
the pyramid is actually a giant city with water and everything else. And they're actually
Hmm.
looking at these pillars, and they may have had their own electricity and their own stuff long before we ever knew what electricity was.
Well, they did.
They're thinking they might be some form of.
They had batteries and they had light bulbs.
Mhm. Well, look at that one device. What was it, in Rome or Greece or somewhere over there they found that they still have how it works.
Oh,
What was it called?
the computer. It starts with an A. Yeah, that was Greek.
Ye- Yeah.
They found it on board a ship that had been sunk um, off the coast of Crete, I think.
The anti-cathera mechanism.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Where does that stuff
rebuild it
come
so they
from?
can see how it works.
Well, one guy did. He made a working model. It was the very first
Mhm.
computer, so to speak. I thought that that just blows my mind. Where does this stuff come from? I mean, you can't make his stuff up. You can't, and whenever they find it, you know, it causes more questions than it does answers.
Yeah.
They say there's a whole library underneath the Sphinx.
That could be where the lost book of the dead is and all the rituals of the Egyptian people.
Yeah, they're hoping that most of it's all medical. They had some interesting medical procedures, but I wouldn't want them to do brain surgery or anything on me.
Hmm.
Turn out like Planet of the Apes.
All right. Never know.
True. Never know. So whenever you got out of the military,
Yippers.
did did they tell you anything?
Well, then I was
What you
pregnant?
were
No.
entitled to? No, no.
Um, no, but my sergeant did part of it. And then I
What did he
had
tell
to
you?
because I was having knee and back issues. My disabilities are not fully done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go back in and get more scans on my back and and my knees and my neck
Mm-hmm.
to get my disability assessed. And COVID hit, and because of where I live, to get the scans done, I got to be put to sleep because I'm extremely claustrophobic. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and every 6 months, I get the envelope. We're processing your stuff. We will call you.
yeah. Sure they
Don't
will.
call us. And then the funny part, I laugh so hard because it says, "Don't call us. We'll call you." And then they give you this printout sheet of all the resources
Yeah,
that are in the Twin Cities. I'm like, thanks. That ain't gonna help me. You
definitely.
know, if I'm in a crisis, I'm not gonna. I've already called the VA. Back during COVID, and they didn't have any therapists available. My anxiety kicked in, and they go, "Well, we'll put you on the list, and we'll call you when one becomes available." So COVID
Mm,
was what, 2020.
yeah.
I'm still waiting for that phone call.
I was just getting ready to say that. That's nuts.
The good thing I wasn't on a ledge and suicidal.
Yeah, they'd call you on the way down.
Yeah. And that's only to make sure you don't land on their car.
Yeah, they'd rather tell you to roll up in a ball so
Yeah,
that you don't
tuck and roll.
splatter.
And
Crazy.
I know they're not thrilled because I refuse meds. Like, I don't need anxiety meds. I can breathe through my anxiety attacks or talk myself down or call someone else to talk myself down. You know,
Uh-huh.
I don't need to feel nothing.
I don't need to feel like a zombie.
Yeah. See, and I took so back when I was getting my migraines really severe before I had some hypno work done.
Mm-hmm.
Um they originally gave me medication for my migraines, which now is a muscle relaxer. I didn't know then it used to be an antidepressant, a low dose antidepressant. And even taking it sporadically, that whole week after taking it, I just was there. You could tell me the world was coming to an end, and I would be like, joy. Okay.
Yeah. Bring it on.
I didn't care. I just nothing. I
Hmm.
wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I was just like, how do people live this way? If this is what an actual antidepressant does to you, you taking it every day, how do you function?
I don't know.
I need emotions. I need to be mad when I get mad.
You gotta
But
let
that's
it
it though,
out.
they don't if you're lucky enough or you're ranked enough in the military to get and they do it with a lot of people who have planned retirements. This
Hmm.
is your benefits is what you get. You have that year to prepare. But
Hmm.
people who are medically discharged out don't get as much counseling and care that they need. And those are the ones that need it more.
Well, yeah. At Letterkenny, whenever I was uh, getting ready to retire, they uh, they started getting rid of the people that helped out with the retirement, filling out the retirement paperwork and instructions and guiding you. And if you had any questions, you could ask them.
Mhm.
Well, they don't have that anymore. Now you have to call what is it, St. Louis. You got to call somebody out in the Midwest. And then it takes 48 hours for them to return your call. So I said, "What the hey? That's nuts."
Oh, you
But
gotta call
whenever,
Kansas City, Kansas.
yeah,
And what's really funny is if you retired before a certain year,
mm-hmm,
the place that stored all the files before it was all digitalized burned down.
yeah,
So if you've lost your records or your house burns down, some people are screwed.
yeah, there's a whole lot of them. I know whenever I got out in '74, they didn't tell me my VA benefits. They didn't tell me my GI Bill. They didn't tell me anything. They said, "Here, sign on the dotted line, and you're gone."
Yeah, I didn't even know about my GI Bill till I started going back to school. And they're like, "Well, they looked up my stuff. They're like, you have this much money for college." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that works."
Yeah, so you know, it wouldn't be so bad if they would just tell you, but
Yeah,
they
they give
don't.
you a damn sheet. Here's it's part of your discharge papers anyway. Here's a list of all your benefits. These are the places you contact for them. Here you go.
See, I didn't even get that.
It's it's a bunch of crap that's in your DD 214. If you actually go through your whole DD 214 before it's when you sign it. So it's in your folder, it's not in your folder.
Right.
So you understand that. So when you go to transfer out, they have you sign about 20 different pieces of paper.
Mm-hmm.
One of those 20 pieces of paper that they don't tell you about is your benefits. And now it's even easier because it's all electronic signature. So they can just hit the P button and print them all out.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're supposed to be. It's a stack of paperwork. part of your D214 is where is all your benefits. You don't actually get part of that, but it's there in your file.
Mm,
But it's their file, not yours.
right.
And now they're talking about the newest thing I saw was the DOD and the VA. Your digital files will not be
Mm,
available anymore. You better print them out. Your medical files.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they got rid of my healthy vet, the login.
Yeah,
Not now. I can't get back in.
it's the stupidest thing I've seen because all of the hospitals are going that way now. Not
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
you know,
dumbing the dirt.
like the Mayo Health System has theirs, and I absolutely just it's easier. Like I can schedule my appointments on the app or the website for me and the kids. I can see the test results. I can pull up their shot records and say send it to the school. Here's a copy of their newest shot records. And it makes it so much easier. And I can go in and say, here, transfer my medical records to this place because I'm going to go see this doctor.
Yeah, we ought to get together and write a book on that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we need to get rid of our DOD, our head of our DOD. We need someone sober and actually knows how the military runs and has some rank to them. And
Why?
not just some.
Then all they're gonna want to do is make it woke.
Yeah, but it's better than being discriminated against just because you are not white and male.
No, that's true.
It's like this. Um, Let me look it up quick. So there's a woman, Janina Simmons. She'll be the first female to be promoted to sergeant major of the Army, being a Ranger School graduate. And she took Ranger School back in 2019
Hmm.
before it became woke, passed and earned her rank like anyone else. She didn't get exclusions or, because she's a woman crap.
Right.
And what bugs me is that when people do work hard and get what they deserve, it gets cut out because they're a woman. It's she's a soldier first and foremost.
That's right. Soldier and rifleman.
That's it. That's like a lot of very good soldiers, but because they're African American and prone to a skin condition because of shaving rigorously, that were on profiles just for their shaving, but the profile they have to be kept clean could possibly get discharged out of the military just because of that.
Hmm. But they're allowing these guys to wear turbans
I know.
and not shave.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, that's what bugs me is that a profile is one thing for a medical condition because I've seen some of these guys that tried to shave every day and do what they're
Hmm.
supposed to do, and their faces just get raw.
Hmm.
And they're being punished because everybody else decides they wants to be their way. We need to bring back the army of one. And that's what it used to be. It's a team, not an individuality crap.
Right.
The only ones that, got to look pretty in the military is the Air Force. The girls' uniforms in the Air Force are all tailored to fit them. Everybody else looks like, but that's because they're the girls of the Air Force and they're supposed to be pretty. Because the Air Force, is just pretty people anyway. No offense.
None taken.
But, it's you work as a team. It is a team organization. There is no I in Army or Marine. There isn't Marines, but you know what I mean. This is the reason why when you go to boot camp, no matter what branch you're in, you have a battle buddy. And that person follows you everywhere you go, and you follow them everywhere they go until you graduate.
Yep.
You don't go anywhere alone. That is the best part of graduating boot camp. Is you get that day of being able to go to the bathroom by yourself.
Yeah. Uh,
You know, taking a shower without someone there, unless you're in the barracks. But you get to go, you have that freedom, you have that space of being alone for a minute. And then you go to AIT train, then you're back to a battle buddy.
yep.
But that's the whole point, is just always having that person has your back. But we don't have that anymore. That's why you have all those challenges and all those towers and all that crap you gotta do and get the whole team across this area and over to this area.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I would not have passed boot camp without my battle buddies, my team members there, including my first lieutenant. Because I screwed up my knee running and hit a pothole when I was running.
Oh,
And so, they had it set up for me so I could stay in there.
you're lucky
And
you didn't snap it.
yeah, we went and got it checked, but the muscles were torn a little bit and I had a
Mm,
lot of inflammation. So after every big march we did, we had the health there for me so that, with the gel and the ultrasound crap and,
mm.
you know, but like doing those marches with my pack, because you have to carry your pack the whole time.
Yep.
If
Yep.
they weren't there to help me along, I would never have made it through. I had guys helping me at lunch doing sit-ups and push-ups. So we passed the PTs. We all work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is no I in team.
Sometimes it's hard to bite your tongue though and, be polite
It is.
in the civilian world.
Well, sorta.
Well, I come see when people sit there and they ask you the dumbest questions, like after I talked about 9/11 a little bit, you know, people ask you like, what does it feel like to carry a dead body out of a building? Or, what's it like to shoot somebody?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. Do you know? Go. Or what's it like being, overseas? It's like you're scared shitless half the time, and the other half you're doing dumb shit and doing,
Mm.
people bitching about TikTok videos. Keep your mind off of what's going on. So you don't sit and dwell on it. You don't. It's a way of life. It's just what you're programmed for.
It's what you do.
You know, you find ways to entertain yourself in the process.
Yep. Uncle Sam's paying the bill, and whenever he says go, you go.
Yeah. They say jump, you ask how high.
Exactly. What you doing, baby? My my cat jump loves to jump up on my paperwork and just lay across it. Tries to help me take notes.
Haha. So, speaking of which, Alignable just finished their Business of the Year contest.
Hmm.
So, I made Local Business of the Year again this year.
Oh, good.
And I am one of the top 50 of Alignable's females of North America.
Wow. It's awesome.
And the funny thing is, um, d- I didn't get to do a lot of networking or campaigning, I guess you could say, talk about what I do because I ended up sick most of the time and ended up with no
Mm.
voice. You know, I was Batman for a month and a half.
Yeah, I remember that. But you're getting your rest now, huh?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm still struggling. Like, if I overdo it, I am just wiped and exhausted. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
simple things like cleaning the house and doing laundry, by the time I'm done, I need a nap. I still don't have that endurance up yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, at my age, I don't have any endurance either. I go out to eat with my wife, breakfast or something, my son, and by the time we're done, I get home, man. I said, "Oh, I'm ready for a nap."
Right?
Then my son wants to go to the clubs, sign the books, so we do that later in the afternoon. We'll have a drink or two, and then because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right?
Yeah.
Always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I want to give you a funny. Did have you heard the one about the teacher and the student in the classroom? She said, "Who can name the four seasons?" Kid raised up his hand and said, "Well, I can name at least two of them." She goes, "Okay, what are they?" He goes, "Salt and pepper."
You're horrible.
Huh? I am.
Said you're horrible.
Yes, I am.
I got I got a buddy who tells a joke. It's kind of cheesy.
Hey,
So he
hey,
lives
hey.
out in DC. He actually lives, not too far from the capital itself. And he goes, "Did you know that the Republicans are all banning bridge, the game, card game bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why?
Hmm.
Because they don't want anything that has anything to do with no Trumps."
Oy.
Yeah. Welcome to the cheesy world.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, I got a friend of mine. She's a teacher. She was having a rough day. Well, rough week last week. So, yeah. I went up to her and I said, "Hey, you know what I think? I think all teachers and all young parents should be allowed to join the electrical union." She goes, "The electrical union? Why would I want to join the electrical union?" I said, "Because you take a bunch of live wires and you make sure they're well grounded."
They're the ordnance department.
Yeah, have a grenade on your desk and say, "Take a number."
You know, have you heard the new trend about what's going on in the school systems?
uh,
And I feel so bad for the teachers. So, it used to be a requirement before you could start kindergarten unless your kid was special needs to be
mhm,
potty trained, right?
yeah.
So, it's not even a US thing now. It's a world thing where kids are not the average age of potty training is like now being bumped to like 6, 7 years old.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
And because of electronics and, everything going on, the when kids start kindergarten, they have the speech skills or the communication skills of a 3 or 4-year-old.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, by standards, every flipping kid in school should be on an IEP and in speech class. But then, and that's the part that really bugs me is all these kids that there's literally nothing wrong with them, but yet because their parents failed them, their preschools that they go to failed them, they get put into the special needs category and labeled as, special instead of just being called neglect.
Hmm.
So the kids who legitimately really need the extra help don't get it because,
Right.
there's someone taking their spot.
Yep.
But I know like a teacher in England turned around and what she does now is that any kid that's on a diaper when she comes to her class, if they need
Hmm.
a diaper change, she calls their parents and makes their parents come and change their diaper.
Well, yeah.
I don't get it. As a parent, when my kid was potty trained, that was like the best thing in the world.
I
I
know.
no longer had to deal with it.
I know. I was so glad whenever that was over with me, with us, man.
I mean, look at how much money you save because diapers are not cheap.
Nope.
And kids like that, they're in pull ups. So they're twice as expensive.
Hmm. It's interesting.
Welcome to the downfall of society.
Yeah, it's more like welcome to the Abbott and Costello society. There's
Hmm.
always a straight guy and there's always a comedian. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know which is which.
I'm still trying to figure all that out.
Nah, the more I try to figure it out, the more headache I get. So I just stop. I don't even try to figure it out anymore. I do my thing, and they let me alone, so I'm happy. All right, so we.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say we covered the struggles with transitioning from military to civilian. What
Yeah,
kind
we
of
talked about.
yeah?
Hang on 1 minute. What are you being a little poop for? My little monster's down here. He has he is picking up a new trade. He is learning construction.
Oh,
And so he likes to screw screws into boards.
uh huh.
It's a start.
As long as he doesn't screw it into an electrical outlet.
No, these are just 2x4s that are freestanding. Dad brings them home because Dad's gonna build me a studio, an enclosed soundproof studio.
Hmm.
Now, now for vacuum.
What, David? What do you need? No, Mom's got work. But you want to say hi? Oh, get hugs. Can you say hi?
Hello.
That's it.
No, that's not it. We have 4 minutes.
That's it. What?
What? Well, can you say bye then? He's extremely go get a band-aid. Go get a band-aid. Um his eczema kicked in right around the bottom of his chin and his where his lips are.
Oh yeah.
So his face is bothering him.
Hmm.
Okay, go get a band-aid and go say
You're having the Elsa.
okay. Yes. Now say bye.
I'm having the mini car.
Okay. Now say bye. Say
I'm having the
Hey.
Patrick.
Listen. Say bye. Right here. Say see you later. Yeah, right here. Just say see you later. Oh, okay. There you go. Now say bye. You gotta say right here. Use your words. Say see you later. Okay.
See you later.
So as you run out of time for today, join us back here.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Go see you next Monday. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Join us back here next Monday for another Reveille Wake Up morning call, and we're gonna be talking about veteran. Yeah, Reveille Wake Up. Good job. And talk about what's going on today. Have a good day. Have a good night. See you back here next week.
Yeah. Stay frosty.
Yeah. Or we're not.
You're having the Elsa.
Okay. Let me finish.
I'm having the mini car.
Give me a minute.
Kids, let's make a drink. Kids, let's make a
I
drink.
gotta close it. Damn it. Stop.
We'll pray. We'll pray.
Alrighty, we'll see ya. Bye for now. See you next week.